Hello, all you music weirdos and nerds. Welcome back to Music Major Meltdown. My name is Blake.
And my name is Sam.
And happy freaking New Year. We made it. We're out of 2020.
All right.
Oh,
2020 is over. We are into 2021. We are first Thursday of the month, right?
what a
first Thursday
time
of the
to
month.
be alive.
What a time to be alive.
My gosh.
Yeah, things are definitely better than they were in 2020.
But we are hopeful. We are hopeful.
We are hopeful. 2021 can only get better.
Crossing our fingers.
Crossing fingers.
Anyways,
knocking
with
on my
that, obviously New Year's is a time where you kind of take an introspective look on your life and try to improve yourself. So, Sam, any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I got a few. I think, want to do more things for me is probably and I know that makes it sound super selfish, but I don't mean just the like I want to buy more things. I want to only serve myself. No, I'm talking more about I want to try to get involved in either or maybe both, some like start going to therapy or start doing spiritual direction, that type of thing. I think that will be something very positive I can do for myself in my life. As much as I will probably regret saying this because people will try to hold me to it, I want to try to do more things to be more active. I have asthma, for those of you that don't know, so that's really tough for me to be active because I can't really just go to a gym. But I want to find more time for hiking, more time for going on walks, and just find more things that I can do that aren't just sitting either on my couch or in a movie theater seat.
Oh, you can go to a gym. I was at the gym and I have asthma.
I don't know, man. I've been to gyms before and it doesn't end well.
Well, that's some good resolutions.
What about you, Blake? What do you got?
Well, I think I just spent all of 2020 being super negative. Pretty sure we all did. So I'm just going to kind of approach each day just having a positive outlook on life, a positive mindset. I'm going to stop trying to focus on the negative things and focus on what's positive, what's good about today. And if there's any negative things, just deal with them as they come. But otherwise, just trying to keep that positive mindset, being in a better mental health space during 2021 than I was in 2020. And obviously, part of that is just being hopeful for the future. So hopefully we can put COVID, COVID behind us soon enough. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit, but I am hopeful. Outside of that, I want to exercise a little bit more. And I just want to be more intentional about my prayer life. But yeah, so I think some good things. I'm not always great with New Year's resolutions. So this year, I'm going to try to take the extra time inside to really focus on those things. I feel like also 2021 gives me more opportunities to maybe help others. 2020, that was kind of hard. Couldn't really volunteer the ways I would have liked to. So trying to find ways to do that, even if it's a little bit more creative than before. So.
Absolutely. That's something else I almost forgot to add for my resolutions is I want to get more involved in the causes that I care about. Having been going straight from high school into college and being very busy with my studies in college and all sorts of things like that, I would never really had too many chances to get involved in the causes that I really care about. So I want to do a little bit more volunteering this year, and I definitely want to start, in as much as I can do it safely, getting out to the events and causes basically, and places that support the causes that I believe in. Start working harder for the things that really matter.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, well, I say we should get into it. Let's get this new year started off with a bang. Sam, what are your songs of the week?
My songs of the week are by one of my newfound favorite groups. That was I don't know why I took so much time between all of those words there. I apologize for that. Let me just reset all of that. My songs of the week are by a newfound favorite group that I have found recently. Heard about them. Oh my goodness. Folks, I am twisting my words all over the place. Let me try this one more time.
Of your songs of the week.
My songs of the week are by a group that I had first discovered a few months ago, almost a year ago now, and kind of liked but didn't look into it. But the more I've looked into them more recently, I really enjoy them. Judah and the Lion. That's the point I was trying to get to. I was trying to set it up cleverly, but it just didn't work. Nope. Judah and the Lion, great group that I just found. Sort of, I think in sound, and Blake, you listened to a couple of their songs. They're like a blend, I think, and I think this is a high compliment because these are two of my favorite groups. They're a blend between like part AJR and part Mumford and Sons. You kind of hear that sound coming from them a little bit. They're kind of like folky, but also very like pop and new sounds, cool rhythms, cool beats, that type of thing.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I would say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. So my two songs of the week both come off of their album called Pep Talks. I believe it is their third album that they have released. And my two songs are Quarter Life Crisis and Pictures. So I'm actually going to start with that second one, Pictures, because I think it is just an amazing, like just simple, basic little song. Nothing goes too crazy, nothing goes too big, epic, grand scale, anything like that. It's just a nice little groove. And really, I think it's one of the most beautiful breakup songs I've ever heard. The whole basis of it with the lyrics is, I hate that I'm taking our pictures off the wall. That phrase comes up so much. It tells this really beautiful story of a couple that apparently, it seems, had gone for a very long time, been together for a very long time, that so much so that they were living together and they had pictures of themselves on the wall, like as their mini family. And they end up breaking up and splitting up. And it just is heartbreaking for both of them as they go through it, that they're having to start taking down all the memories that they had from the amount of their life they had spent together. I love the lyrics of it are something kind of special. I think they're really nice, really pretty, well-written lyrics, make you feel something a little bit, but the sound of it is just what hooks me every time. Is it has this kind of like little bit of piano, lot of bass, cool little drum beat going behind it, just carrying it. Nothing too complex, nothing too crazy. And then it drops away, as they say, and saying, I hate that I'm taking our pictures off the wall. And then a mandolin comes in out of nowhere. If you're a fan of Judah and the Lion, you're expecting that. Like, they have mandolin as one of their main instruments in the group, sort of helps give them that folky sound, like the Mumford & Sons I was mentioning. When I was listening to them for the first time, this was the first album I listened to. I haven't listened to much of their other music. So when that mandolin came in, it took my breath away. It was so cool to hear that and feel that, and how it just like propels the song along, feels like crying out in pain almost a little bit, but in also a very sweet way. It's so complex of emotions I feel during this song.
I'm in a glass case full of emotion.
Exactly. It is so gorgeous. I love this song. It's one of the few songs I've had lately that I can just play this one song on repeat for like 20 or 30 minutes, just this song back to back on itself.
That's
like,
insane.
And I know not many people are going to like it as much as I like it that way, but fantastic song. Highly, highly recommend on my end. The other song from this album is the second track on the album, and also at the same time, more or less is the first track, because the first track is like a very ethereal sort of lead in to this sound. No lyrics, no anything. It's just sort of, I refer to it almost like a sound bath. You're just like sitting and gorged in this sound. It's slowly drawing you in. Then you jump right in on this song, Quarter Life Crisis, and it just lands with just this heavy, like strumming guitar, a little bit of the mandolin there, not super present, a thumping bass drum beat, and is just pure like that folk sound. I almost call it like shout singing, where it's like if you were at a concert singing this, you would just be absolutely jamming with the band, bouncing up and down. Absolutely fantastic. Blake, am I explaining this well? Is this
Yeah, I
you
would say
got
so.
from it?
I would say so. I'll have my own details about how I would explain it, but
No, fair enough, fair enough. But what sticks out to me about this song, I really like this song. I think the sound of it is pretty cool. It always gets me energized, gets my heart pumping a little bit. But when I listened closer, I realized that this is a song, and everybody at this point, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably listened to the ones before. If you haven't, go back and check them out. They're all great. But if you don't know this about me, I am a big fan of lyrics in songs. I think great lyrics can save the sound of a song. I know, Blake, you're so surprised.
wow.
Lyrics? What is he talking about? But I think great lyrics can turn a decent song into an amazing song. And this song really hits that for me. It sets up the album so well. It's just a like a really cool message. This whole record might be a quarter life crisis. I need my family to come and help me fight this. I can't do this all alone. I used to feel so strong. Now I feel like a loser. Those voices in my head got me backed up into a corner. Oh, I can't do this all alone. This song just, and I don't mean to get oddly depressive, but this song speaks to me so deeply sometimes because I feel like quarter life crisis, just looking at that title, it's a play off of the phrase midlife crisis that has become almost a comedic stereotype now, how especially men, when they hit their 40s, they have the sudden desire to buy a sports car and they just can't help themselves. They're like, I need to be cool. I need to feel cool again. So for whatever reason, they buy a muscle car. And you know what they say about men with big muscle cars? They have very small and fragile egos. You know what I was going to say. Not worth saying on this. I'm sorry, listeners. That was a poor attempt at humor. I apologize. But so midlife crisis happens in your 40s. This is the type of crisis that happens as you're entering the world at your quarter life crisis. Pretty quick after you're leaving college, you realize that the world is a bigger and much scarier place and that you're basically in the fight all alone. You might have, like, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you have maybe one other person that's there with you a lot, but generally speaking, you're on your own. For the first time in your whole life, you're on your own. In high school and college, you feel so strong. You feel like you can conquer anything, take on anything. You leave college, you hit your 20s. You used to feel so strong. Now you feel like a loser. And like I have good days and bad days, but this song, just some of these lines speak to me in that way that yeah. And I feel like they really hit on a lot of relatable things throughout the song for people growing up and in their 20s and maybe early 30s in this era. Talk about like all the stories of your life. Maybe you should save some of it just for your therapist. Having a therapist is such a new and revolutionary thing for a lot of people that was not popular for the generation before us. Only recently, relatively recently, became more popular. And then the hook of the song comes through the bridge, I think, with this really cool sound, very dropped back and lots of like cuts a lot of the sound out and has the line, yeah, oh, lots of yeahs and ohs. And then I need a pep talk. And I think that just sets the tone both for this song and what they're really getting at and what the whole album is trying to get at, that this isn't just a song or an album about wallowing in sad emotions. It's I'm really fighting hard to get out of these emotions, get out of get out of your feelings basically, and fight harder for to get your energy back, feel like you used to feel, and be a better part of the world, not feel so alone, feel connected, feel happy in what you're doing. Yeah, I feel like that's a crisis, not to quote the song, but it's a crisis a lot of people go through at this age. And maybe in 10 years, I won't like this song as much as I do now, but man, it just gets me pumped up, helps me feel the things I'm feeling in a helpful and productive way. So I could talk probably more and more and more about Judah and the Lion. I love them a lot. Lots of other great songs off this album. Just as a random side note, I was really jamming out to a song called Passion Fashion off of this album today too, featuring John Bellion. Absolutely fantastic song. And I can't believe I forgot about this. Pictures also is a duet with Judah and the Lion featuring Casey Musgraves. So if you're a country fan, Casey Musgraves, absolutely fantastic, sings the female part in that song. So I will leave it there. I could keep going. I know we say that all the time, but the songs we pick, there are weekly choices for a reason. So Blake, thoughts?
Well, first off, your New Year's resolution should be to get funnier jokes.
Okay, well,
But outside of that, though, you want the good or the bad?
Now let's start with the bad. End on a good.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your explanation of the songs. Let me start with Quarter Life Crisis. First off, I think the lyrics, I kind of like them. I like the idea of the Quarter Life Crisis. Like you're kind of on your own, you're growing up in the world, and you kind of just get booted out, especially in 2020. Like we're entering in that, like we're out of college, we're into the real world phase, and that's one of the first things we get. It's like, are you kidding me? We already have enough to deal with, like just learning how to handle insurance and manage a real job and go to work for 40 hours a week and manage our time that way. How do we see our friends, like deal with them moving away, like a lot of random stuff, like finding other support systems again that we don't have now that college is over. You throw this at us. So lyrically, yeah, I can get behind it a little bit. I do think there's some aspects of it that are a little cheesy, like the I need a pep talk. I don't know. Like I get it's the theme of the album. Let me just say this. I have found it a little bit more catchy, but I'm still overall just kind of bored by it. It's just for me, it's kind of a boring song. I'm sorry. Like I really am. It's there's just not a lot going on. It's just a very like pounding beat, which is fine. And you have that little trill of like guitar and piano there. I think like that's what's going on. And like
that's, you're right.
Good and fine and all. It's just I'm not a big fan of his screaming vocals. Like I'm sure to hear that live, I'm sure that's a very energetic concert. To me, that doesn't translate to the studio album at all. Like I think he just sings kind of raspy, and it's just very there's just not a lot happening. There's not a lot happening, and it's very much like I don't feel like I'm at a Judah and the Lion concert right now, and I don't want to feel like that. And like maybe if there was a bunch of electric guitars blaring over it, maybe I don't know. Like lyrically, I can accept and appreciate it, but overall, it's kind of an L for me. I'm not. I don't feel it. I don't feel it. You know what it feels like to me? It feels like that's the kind of song you would go to like a youth conference, like a church youth conference, and a band would play that song, and everyone would be chanting along to it or whatever.
And that's fantastic.
I'm not a fan of that kind of music. I don't listen to that music like on my own. Like it's fine when you're at the conference, it's great, but I don't really get much from that like musically afterwards, because frankly, I could write that song in 5 minutes. That's
an exaggeration. I've heard your songwriting.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, you're digging on the song. I had to get just one small dig in there. I'm sorry.
What a jerk. No, no, but like I'm serious. It's just like I don't know. To me, there's not that much there. I don't know. I was just kind of bored by it.
Oh,
Um, frankly, so I'll get into the other song and then I'll tell you what you should have done.
oh gosh. Okay.
um, so pictures I do like. Pictures I would give a W. Uh, I I'm not a really a big country fan. I do appreciate their voices complement each other well on that song though. He's not screaming. Like I just appreciate that more. Like he just when he's screaming, he when you said they took the elements of AJR and Mumford and Sons, it takes the two elements of each band that I don't like as much. AJR I like when they are a little bit more diversive, and they took the poppy elements from AJR. That's the kind of part they took. They took a little bit as you listen on this album, because I actually listened to a couple more tracks. They
Mhm.
take some of that electronic side too, like experimenting a little bit more with that on this album, which is a little bit odd for them just because they are a folk group. So that was at least intriguing. I don't know if it really worked on everything, but um, and the stuff they take from Mumford is a lot of the folk, but again, it's like the chanty, screamy folk. It's not the, you know, the really deep interpersonal guitar. Um, like it's a lot of the sing-along stuff. It's not the other side of folk that I really like the storytelling in that. It's it's just not the part of folk I like. And Mumford has a bit of more of a rock side to them, and Judah and the Lion doesn't do that. And so it just it's not for me. But what I will say about pictures, Casey Musgraves does a great job on it, and her voice goes well with Judah and the Lions. Judah, whatever his last name is, I don't remember. But they
Um,
go all together. The mandolin, I
Akers.
really like that
Judah
part.
Akers.
Judah Akers, right? And I really like the mandolin part. It really kind of brings it home. It's a very sad and touching song. Like it's not. I feel like it's not your typical breakup song. Like typical breakup song, you don't sing that with the person you just broke up with. Like
Exactly.
you don't get the departure of both of them feeling the exact same feelings. So that's a very cool musical element. So I will give it that. That gets a W in my end. But the reason I think you should have done something differently is there is a beautiful track on that album, and it's called "Why Did You Run?" And that is absolutely amazing. It's he doesn't do a screaming thing. He has a lot more personal storytelling. The vocals are much better. The instrumentation, like the band really meshes together, and it's still folksy, but it's also a little bit more. It's not up. It's not more upbeat, but it's a little bit more peppy. It's kind of like he's telling the sad story, but we still want people to dance along to it because dancing helps to make your problems go away. That was literally like what he said about it. And it was a great song. So
Hmm.
I'm going to amend Sam and instead give him that as his second song of the week, as a W.
Okay, sure. Whatever you say.
Seriously, it's a good song.
That is a good one.
And it's very personal. It's about his family and I think the divorce of his parents. Um, so very interpersonal. It was a nice
You know,
song.
I wonder now that you say that, because I think I had heard that before. I wonder if Pictures is from the perspective of his parents.
It could be. That would make that a really interesting storyline. It's just, but it
And
could.
especially with I'm okay being in between. I don't know if you listened to that one.
I don't.
You would you if you weren't a fan of the screaming type stuff, you might like that one, but you might not, because it I think it does the screaming a little bit better and more interesting
And I think
because
I
it
just don't like.
makes sense.
It's not that I don't like anyone's. Like I can listen to sometimes. It's just very chancy. Like if I was at the concert and listening to the song, I'd probably sing along to it. But I don't want that for my own listening experience. So that's why overall, not a big fan of that song.
Well, hey, no, that's fair. But what I was gonna say with I'm okay, that but the chanting works a little bit better. But the whole song is about like him like trying to convince himself he's okay. And then by the end of the song, he's like the chorus has changed to I'm not okay and please stop asking me. Like like and I just think it's gorgeous, and that makes kind of an interesting through line for that story for those 5 songs at least, is
Sure.
him like dealing with just like having to deal with life as it is there.
Mhm.
Why did you run? Being like you said about his parents' divorce and about one of his parents like leaving and running. I'm okay being again dealing with like not feeling okay all the time. And then pictures being like it's almost like the story of what happened. That's interesting. I would be curious to know if that's you could. I think the beautiful thing about listening to almost any album is sometimes the story in an album is really clear and clearly told, but sometimes you can infer parts of the story from it that maybe they put in on purpose, maybe they didn't, but if it improves your listening experience, hey, go for it.
That's music for you.
Yeah. One last thing that I forgot to say about pictures, but I find it so fascinating. And I promise we'll get to your songs. I promise this is just one little thing that I was thinking about all day, and I can't believe I forgot to say it. Um, what I find so interesting in pictures is the harmonies between Casey Musgraves and Judah Akers.
I agree.
Because when you listen to most duets in music, especially between a male and a female, when you write, if you were to write out the lines they were saying, the woman always has the quote unquote higher harmony and the male has the lower harmony. That even if they're separated by like an extra octave in between, you could lower the female's part down an octave or raise the male's part up an octave, and it's still the female part is above and the male's part below. But that's not the case technically because Casey Musgraves just has a naturally higher, much higher voice than Judah Akers. Her part is still above almost all of it, and his is still the bottom part. But she's singing what would typically be the lower harmony part while he's singing either like melody or the higher harmony part to the song. Did you notice that when you listened?
I noticed something interesting about it. So thank you for pointing that out because that makes sense. Yeah, that really does. So I thought that was unique.
Yeah, I just think it was super cool. She sings these like very like the types of things you would hear from an alto singing harmony, and I don't think her voice is naturally an alto. Alto being the lower female voice part, sort of
The bass of
soprano being the highest part, then alto, then tenor, then bass in typical voice separations for those who do not know. See, I even threw some education in with what I was saying.
Oh wow, what a guy.
I know, you're welcome.
Now that we're done with Sam's songs,
Okay, yeah, moving on. Check out Judah and the Lion. Blake, what are your songs of the week?
so my songs are from a band that's really newfound, and I'm gonna take 10 words to explain how I found.
Oh my gosh. Okay, my talking box isn't the best today. I get it. My words didn't come as naturally as I thought they would.
Oh man, no. My songs come from a band called Arcade Fire, and I actually discovered Arcade Fire around the time my grandpa passed away. So they do have kind of a personal connection to me, especially kind of the eeriness of their first album being called Funeral, that I found it around that time. Was interesting, but I've really grown to love Arcade Fire so much. And the two songs I picked today are Modern Man and My Body is a Cage. So I guess I'll start off with My Body is a Cage since that one came first. So that was off their second album called Neon Bible, which is a very interesting album title. I'm not going to go too in depth with really the album itself. I think it was just kind of like the modernism of kind of conflicting modernism and traditionalism. Um, I think I'm not even sure if that's why they titled it like that, but it's just a cool album title, Neon Bible. I just um, anyways, Arcade Fire is a alternative rock indie. They kind of go into electronic, a little bit of electronica, more like dance music though, but also just straight alternative rock, sometimes a little punk. They just have a lot of different influences. So they are just a very good indie rock band. So if anyone's looking to get into some very highly regarded indie rock music, they're a great band for that. Um, and this first song, My Body is a Cage, is very it's kind of strange. And the reason I say that is because, and Sam, you probably noticed this, it doesn't really have verses. It is very structured around this one line. My body is a cage that keeps me dancing with the one I love, and my mind holds the key. And that melody repeats throughout. The lyrics change a little bit, but that line is repeated so much throughout the song. It basically serves as the chorus with no verses. Like it's just repeating the chorus constantly, just with slight lyric alterations. So I've always found that just to be like, there's no build up. There's no build up to what the theme of the song is going to be. It gives it to you right away, and it doesn't change from that until the very end of the song. And the song is characterized by having an organ. So it kind of sounds like you're in a church. It's very, I don't know if it actually sounds like you're in a church, but it just sounds like the type of organ you would hear in a church, and that like broods throughout the song, um, and with some bass and some kind of sneaks up on you drums. So there's this giant climax in the middle of the song where Win Butler the lead singer eventually drops out, and all the instruments get turned up to 12, and you just hear this organ blaring, and it's just amazing. You're like, what the heck has happened? Um, and it's so fitting because it's the last song in the album, and so they just really want to set it off with a bang, um, or end it off with a bang, I should say, and just it's a mind explosion. It's wow. Um, and the song's lyrics actually relates to the singer or the person, the subject's um, social anxieties. Their body is a cage that keeps them being with the one they love, um, dancing with the one they love, or just being with people because their cage is anxiety. It's a mental, um, issue that's disallowing them to be with people to express themselves fully. And I had been reading some. I always try to go in depth more with the lyrics because I know Sam is in love with lyrics, and so I was
I
reading
really am.
about how some people kind of experience this song. And it's like, yeah, it's almost like they're grasping for this time when they knew things were better, when they didn't have this problem, and like they understand that they're locked up now, but they're longing for those times when they were able to be with other people. And that was so interesting to me, especially because when it gets to that climax, it's kind of like your body is a cage, and once the vocals drop out and it's just turning all the rest of the instruments up, that's like the person trying to break free, but all their efforts are slighted. Like all their efforts to get out, they didn't work, because then the end of the song is just the cry of set my spirit free. And it's painful and enlightening at the same time. Like you almost feel like there's a sense of hope, with how the organ and the chords have changed to like sound brighter. Like it does kind of have this like spiritual sound to it in a way, like you are in a church, especially at the end, like maybe a song you'd hear in the middle of a mass or something, of like, I feel like he's going to break out, but at the same time you don't really know. You don't get that certainty because the song ends before he says he's broken out. So that's just a beautiful song that's kind of a hidden gem. I think at the end of Neon Bible, it's not really like a big song for them or anything. But which I'm surprised. I always thought it was released as a single or something, and to my amazement, I looked and it's not. And so
Wow.
I just fell in love with it. I don't even know why. Um, because I'm not necessarily in love with that album so much, but I really do love that song. So the next song is Modern Man, which comes from probably my favorite album of all time. It's between that and A Rush of Blood to the Head by Coldplay. But if you've never listened to The Suburbs, do yourself a favor. It's an amazing album, just encompassing a lot of um, different philosophical ideas of what it's like to be in suburbia. As they titled it, it's a message to or a message from a suburb, a cul-de-sac, of basically like, life seems perfect when you're in the suburbs. Once you get out, you realize that everyone's a little bit disillusioned and like there's a lot more problems going on, but everyone kind of lives in their own little world, and there's not really like, every day is kind of the same, and you enjoy life and whatever, and you don't really think, like, your mind gets a little bit numb in the life of a suburb sometimes, is kind of what their thought was. And there's other stuff about like politics and whatever, but I'm not going to get into all of that, especially today. But there, it's just got a lot of great themes to it. Won a Grammy back in 2010 for Album of the Year, if anyone cares about that, um, which a lot of people don't. But they were kind of like a surprise to win that. So that was a cool thing to see, like for them to get rewarded with. But this song specifically, Modern Man, the first thing you kind of notice right away, it's a very laid back and cool song. Just has this nice acoustic guitar with a pretty simple strumming pattern. And I don't know, it's an easy song to walk to. I always find myself, it's one of those songs that gets me excited for when I can get back outside again. But Modern Man is kind of dark. So you kind of notice as you're listening to it that um, like a record keeps spinning, I'm a modern man, is one of the lines. And I'm trying to think of it. Oh, a record that's skipping, I'm a modern man. And when eventually alludes to more things like something doesn't feel right, like I'm waiting and constantly waiting. And all of the song is basically, talking about a modern person of constantly waiting for everything. They are constantly, as people, we are waiting for the next big thing. So maybe people back decades, centuries ago, didn't have this mindset of always waiting for this next thing because we were not as innovative. Like we're more innovative today than we've ever have been in the entire history of humans. And so we're always just impatient waiting for the next thing. But it's also a commentary on like how we're all sitting here waiting to die. And that is when, especially when you don't have faith in religion or whatnot, there doesn't really seem like there's much of a meaning to life. And so the modern man is just constantly waiting without this feeling like this existential purpose. And that's what this song is, that though everything should feel right. So like getting back to that suburb idea, though everything should feel right, like everything should feel good, something don't feel right. Like something is not okay, but you can't pinpoint what that is. And it's that existential feeling that you're wanting of more. And how this is illustrated in the song is with like the lyrics, the record skipping and whatever. The song has an extra beat just layered in different places. So if you tap along like a 4/4 time signature, so basically like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, that'll get you through a decent part of the song. But all of a sudden you feel yourself off count. And the reason is because they've added an extra beat in. So it'll be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and because of this, the reason they did this is to give that uneasy feeling. Like the listener knows something doesn't feel right. You are feeling how about the song, how the person in the song is feeling about life. Like, I don't know what it is. And eventually, like, if you've listened to enough music, you do know what it is. But Arcade Fire kind of wanted to give you that illusion that it's a really like pretty sounding song. It's like, oh, everything's so nice, everything's beautiful. This is a very nice song to listen to. Wait, what was that? Wait, oh, it's nice to get. Wait, what?
Like a glitch in the matrix.
It's a glitch. It's a glitch, but you don't know what it is, and it's just perfect how they describe it. And yeah, it really it's such a great thematic album. The sounds on it like are differing enough, but they go so well together. It's one of my favorite albums. Like I love listening to some albums, just like picking a bunch of songs off of it. The reason I love The Suburbs so much, it's so perfect to listen to front to back. So perfect. Sam, I've talked long enough. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, plenty long, as a matter of fact. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. You said the same thing about me. Yeah, well, I'll start. I'll start with Modern Man since we're still on the topic. I did really like this song. I gave it a win. I found that I had that same feeling as I went through, that it does feel pretty much like everything's fine, except it just adds that extra beat in seemingly almost completely random spots. And like sometimes you go a while where it's not there, but then it comes back again. And it's just, yeah, I mean, I totally vibe with what you're saying about the meaning of the song, how it's like like we're constantly waiting for what the next thing is. That's modern life, is it's very little embracing what we have and all just, yeah, okay, we have this, but when's the next thing? All right, we get it. The iPhone X or 10 or whatever it is. iPhone X is out, but when is the iPhone 11 coming? Come on. Like, yeah, I get the iPhone 10 came out yesterday, but when's the iPhone 11 going to be here? I'm sick of this thing. So impatient and everything like that. And yeah, I vibe with the song. I think it was a cool sound. I enjoyed listening to it a few times, and yeah, Arcade Fire is pulling it out for me. I did enjoy that. Yeah, and I'll be honest, I didn't like My Body is a Cage as much as I liked Modern Man. I think I still give it a tentative win. It's not my favorite. I don't know if I'm going to go back and listen to it again, like really anytime soon, but I really connected with the lyrics on this one. This one, I just like, that was what held me and engaged me as I was listening to it, is just that super repetitive, my body is a cage that keeps me from dancing with the one I love, but my mind holds the key, because it hits like the three problems with anxiety, like the three main things that suck about anxiety. You feel trapped in your own body, in your own feelings, like your consciousness or whatever, however you want to think about it, you feel trapped. And that cage that you're trapped in, that is just like what your body is feeling, is stopping you from doing the things you like with the people you care about. Like they go more specific with dancing with the one I love, but like it stops you. You could take that very literally, or you could take it as like stops me from going to movies with friends, stops me from putting myself out there with people I don't know. Like the anxiety traps you in your own body. It keeps you from doing the stuff that you care about, but working through your anxieties, like working in your mind to conquer them, is what will open the cage. And I'm just like, oh, that's just such a genius line that like
it hurts you that like literally the thing that's making your whole like self not be able to do things is also the thing that can save you, and that sucks.
Exactly. It's, oh yeah, that just a tough balance of like your anxieties, your nervousness, and everything. Oh yeah, you're so right. It's so cool. And yeah, I enjoyed those lines a lot. The sound of it I was in favor of. Like I thought it was cool. It was a little off-putting the first time I heard it, because I wasn't quite grasping everything, which is why I give it somewhere to that tentative W, because I think a lot of songs like Modern Man, as an example, and just lots of songs people listen to, are pleasant to the ears and like great to listen to on the first listen. And this one took me a listen or two to really like understand what was going on and appreciate it, because I think that organ sound we're just so used to not hearing that it's starting to sound just like
a little bit abrasive.
Yeah, abrasive and like just kind of a mess, you know. It can, like, once I understood what was happening, I could hear how it was doing exactly what it was supposed to do, but without paying closer attention to that, it just sounded kind of messy and odd.
Yeah,
but which is why it's tentative, but I still
so well too. It's
yeah.
like that messiness is kind of like, it makes you feel a little uneasy.
Exactly. And yeah, so I'm with it on this one. I do enjoy it. I do give it a W. But yeah, tentative just because you got to like, for our listeners out there, listen to this one twice before you cast the judgment.
I would
The
recommend
first
that.
time you might not grasp it.
I would always recommend that with any of the songs, is give it a couple listens, give it your best, give it your honest listen before you really like, don't have any distractions when you're doing it. Like, make sure you're actually devoting the time to really put the music in your ear, really kind of evaluate, okay, what do I like? What do I not like? And then kind of cling on to those things you like and maybe understand why you don't like those things. Because that can just help you as much with music, knowing what you don't like and why you don't like something, as knowing what you like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Blake, I think we just accidentally did it again. We did another very in our feels episode
Oh,
in music. I think it goes back, what was it, like episode 2, where we both, maybe not episode 2, maybe episode 3, where we both just picked songs that we got very, very deep in our feels as we were talking about them. And both of these songs are very,
apologize so much, but like not really.
yeah, not at all.
I do want one more tidbit. If you like the chill vibes and the good guitar lines of Modern Man, it's got a couple of just like very crisp, like, I feel like I'd listen to it on an ocean kind of thing almost. If you like that, listen to the title song, The Suburbs. If you like those two songs, that's pretty much a good guess that you're going to love that album. So, the last thing I wanted to say, um, yeah, I think
Yeah,
we got just a little bit more time here, Sam.
yeah. Well, only 3 wins this week, but that's not the end of the world.
It's
So
technically
moving forward, as we approach the end of this episode, I want to talk a little bit with you, Blake. We talked about New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the episode, but we both specifically left out music related things.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
So I want to start with you, throwing the ball right back into your court, Blake. What are some New Year's resolutions you have, but specific to music?
Well,
Specific to music, New Year's resolutions.
let me just get it started right off. And we didn't really talk about this, but starting right off, we have resolutions for our podcast. That is right. We, at some point this year, I'm not going to promise when, we are developing a theme song. So there will be a Music Major Meltdown theme song written with the help of some guest musicians potentially. So
said guest musicians will also be featured in the podcast. When we premiere the song, we will be inviting them to join us over Zoom.
I was not aware of that, but okay.
Oh, well, I wasn't aware we were announcing the theme song today, so I guess we're both surprised.
Basically, just listen to every episode from here on out, and one of those episodes there'll be a theme song in.
Yeah, exactly. And make sure you,
Sam, we're tricking them. They have to listen now.
You're stuck with us.
But outside of that, we are really looking forward to the day that we can record our podcast together. We want to be in the same room. We want to have people join with us, and frankly, I think we want to do a little bit more than just talk about music or talk about music for the podcast. I think we want to do other videos. And so, just as a resolution for our podcast, we really enjoy this. We really enjoy, I know we only get limited feedback from audience now, but a lot of people that have listened to it have said they love the podcast, and we're really appreciative of that. And we want to give you guys more content. We want to gain our fan base more. So
absolutely. So Music Major Meltdown, the podcast, will continue as it has been going. We will still be here, but you can also keep checking out the Music Major. Keep checking out the Music Major Meltdown channel for more videos that maybe aren't podcasts. Maybe it's like some carpool karaoke styles. James Corden, don't sue us.
Please don't. carpool spelled with a K and karaoke spelled with a C. There we go. That should solve it.
Carpool karaoke.
Yes. He can't sue us for that.
James Corden, please don't actually sue us. We don't have that much money.
We don't have any.
Yeah, or any money. But yeah, so keep checking out our channel. We're gonna bring you varieties of new content throughout 2021.
For sure. I guess for like actual music in New Year's resolutions, one of the big things that Sam and I have been talking about is it was such a disappointment to not have live music in 2020. I myself was planning on going to see the Black Keys in concert, and they were going to be opened by Gary Clark Jr. So that was going to be an amazing concert, and I didn't get to go. And I had already bought the tickets. Sam, I think you had a concert you were going to as well.
Yeah, I don't think when did we talk? Did we talk about the Click on here? I did some AJR songs on this.
You did.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if I did. As you guys know, I'm a big AJR fan, and back in August, I was going to go to an AJR concert. Hadn't bought the tickets yet, but a friend had bought them already, and had bought me a ticket. I hadn't paid him for it yet. Whoops! Don't judge me. It's still months in advance, but yeah, I was disappointed that they canceled that concert. So we're looking forward in 2021 to take some time to go and see some live music.
So if you got an artist that you know you want to go see as soon as live music is back, put that in the comments. I'm curious. Who do people want to go see? Personally, the first chance I get, if Coldplay says they're going on tour, I'm going. I don't care if it costs my entire life savings. I'm going to see Coldplay. And I guess as one other band, I'd really love to go see Queens of the Stone Age. Most people probably don't know who that is. That's fine. They're like big and cool with Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl, Certified Dad, as we all know.
Oh.
Certified Dad, Dave Grohl. So, but yeah, that's a couple bands I'd like to see. Sam, is there any bands on top of AJR you want to see?
Yeah, well, thank you for mentioning it. I was gonna definitely say AJR. I've already seen these two bands in concert, but I would love to see Mumford & Sons and Paramore in concert again, not both together, but those were great concert experiences, and I am sure if I saw them again, they would also be great concerts. Judah and the Lion, I want to go see them in concert now. As you were saying, like, the concert would probably be a fun time. Like, a lot of their songs just lend themselves so well to singing along and jamming out. I think that would be a fantastic show to go and see. Otherwise, I know we don't talk much about. Say it again.
I'd like to see Arcade Fire. Pretty much anyone that I've featured, I want to go see.
Oh, so, yeah.
I feel like that's pretty much a given. So.
And one other thing that we don't talk much about this on the podcast, but it is something that I want to try and go see more of, would be musicals and classical music concerts.
That is so true. Yes.
Because those are just as much concerts and music performances as anything else.
And they cost less, especially if you go locally. And I guarantee you, for most of you, wherever you live, if you live in a 50,000 plus town or you live close enough to one, go invest in your local productions. Like, musicians work their butts off to put on great shows, and I really have not seen a bad thing living in Dubuque. Just a lot of amazing performances. Go support your local musicians.
Absolutely. Local musicians need your support. I know as soon as those types of shows are open, we have a fantastic theater down here, the Grand Opera House, that I know does a lot of shows that I have never seen a show down there, actually, and I'd love to go. But yeah, and our symphony orchestra, all sorts of things like that. I think that's something I'm going to lean into a little bit more in 2021, for sure. Another thing that I think we're going to lean into for our New Year's resolutions, basically, is, I don't know about you, Blake, at least, but I want to expand what I listen to just in general. See, exactly. I mean, this has been fun for us just both of us expanding our horizons a little bit by sharing music with each other that we want each other to listen to and talk about.
Yeah.
I've had a blast with that. I want to keep doing that. We want you to be involved in that too. If you have bands or music that you think we should be listening to and talking about, throw it down in the comments.
Seriously, we're
You
so
might just
bored.
get featured in an episode of the show.
We're so bored. Just give us music to listen to. I will listen to your music. Because frankly, I'll listen to anything. I am compiling just a giant list of like hundreds and thousands of albums that I need to listen to before I die. Will I get through them all? Probably not. That's the beauty of music. You're never going to listen to every piece of music out there. But I want to know, like this year, I think it's a really good thing, like to kind of know what artists we've discovered this year. I've discovered probably 20 or 30 new artists this year. Like,
we're only like 6 days in.
Oh, last year. Sorry.
I was very confused. I'm like, good for you, but you've discovered 5 new artists a day?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
No. But seriously, like, I feel like much more enriched in my music and like my culture. And I know I need to keep expanding it more because even with expanding that, it's still a lot of the stuff similar to what I was listening to before. So I want to listen to other genres that maybe I don't develop in so much. So put any recommendations you have for us down in the comments. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate if this channel is interactive because we want to hear from you guys. It's really great for us to know what you guys want us to talk about.
Absolutely. When we're boring, tell us we're boring. When we're interesting, tell us we're interesting.
Or not.
Tell us something. When you disagree with us, tell us you disagree with us.
I disagree with Sam pretty much 75% of the time. So thank you for if you do too.
Oh, all right.
Last thing I will say I'm looking forward to in the new year, specifically relating to music. So Sam and I are both musicians, and I am so excited to like finally start actually performing with people again, even if it's just on a small scale or like at church or just making music with friends. It sucks not to be able to do that. So I will be so excited when I could just go sing with friends again or even join like a choir or something. I'm looking forward to that. Like I really am. I've missed that since college, and 2020 was not the year to be able to do that. So
absolutely. I know I certainly missed it. When COVID started, I was in the midst of student teaching. So I already was just completely engorged and surrounded by music because I'm a music education major. I think we covered that before, but I was student teaching all music stuff, but I didn't have much of a chance to do much performing at that point. And then COVID hit and just all performing completely shut down. So it's been a tough time. It's been a rough time without performing. It's been almost a year since I've touched a tuba, and that just breaks my heart.
Yeah. I mean, like I play guitar by myself, but it's not the same. Like it's much more fun to be with people and showcasing or just building music with people, even if you just jam. So I think we're all excited for that. Again, we really do wish you all a happy new year. We hope everyone has a great New Year's resolution for themselves, but otherwise we're just wishing you all great joys and blessings this year. And here's to the death of 2020.
Here's to the death of 2020, the year that will never be forgotten, but man, do we wish
never forgiven.
Never forgotten, never forgiven.
Oh, cheers to that. Well, I have been Blake.
And I have been Sam.
Signing off. We'll see you guys in the next one.
See you guys in a couple weeks.